Alrighty, so hello, I am Jayla and I'm the Diversity and Inclusion Intern at the Office of at the Center for Sustainable Development, and I'm here with Maddie Roberts. Would you like to introduce yourself, Maddie?
Yes, my name is Maddie Roberts, and I'm the president and founder of the Sustainable Fashion Club at the College of Charleston. And I am a business administration major with a concentration in entrepreneurship, and I am a second semester junior.
Awesome. So the first question that we have is, what made you want to start a sustainable fashion club at CFC, and what do you hope students gain from joining this club?
Yeah, so I wish I had a really short answer for this question, but I don't. I started the College of Charleston when I was 21 as a freshman. So I had modeled after high school, thought I wanted to be a supermodel. And then I was like, okay, I don't want to be a supermodel, but I want to be in the fashion industry and I want a business degree. So that's why I started the College of Charleston. And one of the first, I remember meeting with like my first advisor, and I told her I just wanted to be involved in some sort of fashion aspect on campus. Like, is there any classes or anything? And she was like, we don't have any classes, but there is this new FYE seminar class called Just Fashion. And it's about sustainable fashion. And I remember rolling my eyes and thinking, okay, I'll try it. It's fashion, so like I felt bad saying no. I'm not interested. So I started the class and I became obsessed with sustainable fashion. I had been exposed to the fashion industry in a different way, but I hadn't been exposed to it in the way that Professor Dwyer was teaching us. She taught us all about indigo dyeing and just kind of the history of practices, fast fashion practices, H&M, like Pretty Little Thing, and where they get their clothes made, and the ethical concerns and their environmental concerns. And it just kind of made me realize, in combination with my entrepreneurship classes, that this was a niche that no one was kind of touching on. And I felt at the end of COVID, or end of the COVID summer, I guess, I was talking with my boyfriend and I was telling him that I felt not done with Charleston, but I couldn't figure out how else I could immerse myself into the fashion community, especially now with COVID. And I was kind of feeling frustrated and almost like disheartened that I felt like I almost had to wait until I graduated to like get to do what I wanted to do. So he suggested to me, why don't you start a club? And I was like, that's a great idea, but there's already a fashion club and I don't want to, that's not really that's not my main focus. So I was like, well, there's no sustainable fashion club. So I was like, awesome. So what I hope students to gain from the club is just that to be more aware of the problems in the fashion industry, because I feel like with college students, it's like, boohoo, Pretty Little Thing, Fashion Nova, like it's all marketed towards us because we don't have huge bank accounts right now. We're students, and I just want to spread awareness to the Charleston community and then beyond that, so we can make a difference. I think small changes make a big difference.
That was a beautiful answer, Maddie.
Oh, thank you.
So the next question that we have for you is, what do you want students to know about sustainable fashion?
What I want students to know about sustainable fashion is what I find the most inspiring about fashion is the creativity part of it. And I think with sustainable fashion, it's even kind of easier to be creative because there's women of all ages at some point feel some type of pressure about what they're putting on their body. And I think with sustainable fashion is special because not only is there environmental benefits, I think it also sustainable fashion takes away the pressure on men and women to allow them to dress how they want and not how everybody else wants. And whether it be thrift shopping or repurposing old clothes, I think there's always a creative process. And I think that's what gets me excited and like obsessed with sustainable fashion.
Nice. So next, what advice do you have for people who are wanting to incorporate more sustainable and ethical choices into their shopping habits?
Okay, yeah, so my first piece of advice is to look in your closet. I did it this past weekend. I was going on a date with my boyfriend, and I'd just been dying for like a floral crop top situation, and I just couldn't see it anywhere. It was just too girly, and I have this green floral summer dress that I wore to death. So I ended up just cutting it in half. And now I have a top that's really cute. And it's like the same floral pattern that I liked in the dress, so it works. And if you're stuck on that, you don't know where to go in terms of the closet, Google. YouTube has so many good ideas for like repurposing clothes and t-shirts, and I've seen like stuff on Pinterest, how to make a t-shirt into a halter top by just like not cutting the collar. And with thrifting, I think it requires patience, but I think if you go in there saying, all right, I know I need a black sweater, and just go in with that, you can walk out with, like, maybe you don't walk out with a black sweater, but if you just have that directive, I think it's less overwhelming than walking into a big store like that.
Yeah. So, how will your club promote inclusivity given that the sustainable fashion industry and sustainability overall still struggles with elitism?
Yes. This is definitely one of the harder questions, but I really liked it. I really wanted to answer it. My club will promote inclusivity by promoting accessibility. What I love about sustainable fashion is that anyone can go to Goodwill and buy a sweater for $1.99. But what promotes the inclusivity part of it is that it's not like how many sweaters you can buy. It's like what you found or what you turned it into, and that brings it back to yourself. And that's about inclusion, not about exclusion. And another way of combating the affordability factor of fashion is thrifting. And with high fashion, it's typically only available to the elite. So I think it's really cool. Like my vice president lives in or is from Jupiter, Florida, which is right next to Palm Beach. She goes to Goodwill and gets Burberry coats and heels and all this cool stuff, but she's paying like under $20. So I think the best part about sustainability is that the label doesn't have to be attached to the price tag.
Very true. So what got you into sustainable fashion?
So I kind of touched on this I kind of answered this in the beginning, but I remember just talking to my advisor and wanting to be involved in fashion. I knew there was Charleston Fashion Week, but I didn't want to model in Charleston Fashion Week, and that was in March, and I was like ready to be thrown into it. I just wanted to do something, and the class Just Fashion really opened my eyes to sustainability, and in combination with my entrepreneurial classes, I realized that niche. And then since I kind of realized that niche, it got me more excited. I have a lot of business classes that focus on like building businesses or like fake businesses. And I've been doing research on sustainable trends, and that's just fascinating to me, kind of where the future of sustainable fashion is. And that's kind of what gets me excited about it.
Lovely. So next, what are some of your favorite thrift stores to shop at in Charleston?
Some of my favorite thrift stores, I've definitely discovered more since starting the club, because I just like follow everybody so I can just get a good idea. But Exchange Factor in North Charleston on Rivers Avenue, I love. I was just there this weekend, and I think my first vintage shop that I ever went to in Charleston was the Red Rose Vintage Truck. I used to go there a lot. Off the record, I think their prices aren't great anymore, so I don't go there. There's also Frenchie Vintage, which I found on Instagram. I hadn't heard of it before, but it's Charleston based, and they have really cute, they're more feminine vintage. And there's also Threads to Disco. To Disco is like one word, and they're not technically a thrift store, but they do reworked and recycled clothing. And on Instagram right now, I'm seeing a lot of they're like flannels, but they're half and half, like two different flannels come to meet in the center. So it's like the same vibe, the flannel pattern, but it's like different colors. Oh. Also retrograde vintage and junkyard thrift, which I've also found on Instagram. Instagram has been a great tool to just search what's out there in Charleston.
I imagine. Thank you so much for the recommendations. So what budget-friendly, sustainable clothing brands do you recommend for students?
Okay, so personally with this question, I have not found the ideal fashion-forward sustainable brand. Maybe I can help think of that idea, but right now in the meantime, I really like Able. It's just ABLE, and that's based out of Nashville, Tennessee, and they focus on producing their clothes with an environmental impact in mind. And same with Everlane, which is based out of San Francisco. I looked those up, and they both have lower price points than a lot of other sustainable brands. That's the problem that I don't like with the sustainable industry right now, is like brands like, I don't know if you've heard of Reformation or some other places, they're kind of capitalizing on the sustainable aspect and like jacking up the price, which I think is the total opposite of the point. So
very true.
To be determined on that one.
So do you have any thrifting or consignment shopping tips or hacks?
Yes. Like I said earlier, just identifying kind of the category of what you need. And then if you don't have a category and you say like, okay, well, I want a really cool pair of Levi shorts, super basic example, but you can go in there and don't look at just the shorts, look at all the pants, so you can cut them, or you can make them a skirt. So, I mean, I went to Goodwill the other day, and I got a brown skirt that I didn't have time to sew, but I just cut it and used clothespins or safety pins all up on the bottom for my costume, because I was like, I don't have time to pay for the skirt. So clothespins or safety pins and a $1.99 skirt worked great.
Nice. So next, do you have any upcycling tips or methods?
Yes, I talked about that summer dress that I cut into a top, and fashion's supposed to be fun and creative. So I think if something doesn't turn out exactly how you want it, that's happened to me before. I've cut a crop top too short, and it's like not even a bra. So it happens, and you make mistakes, and investing in a sewing machine is really it's a good tip. It's hard to find the time with school. I have one right here, but
nice. Do you have any sewing machines that you recommend while we're
sewing machines? So the big thing that happened with COVID is that everyone wanted to make masks. So sewing machines were like out of stock for like 6 months. And the one that it was supposed to be a Christmas gift. And so my mom was like, I can't find it anywhere. So she wanted me to get a Singer, which is kind of the typical brand, but I went to Joann's Fabric, and Joann's Fabric went as far to tell me that Singer's out of business because of everyone's buying sewing machines. So I got one. It's by the name Janome, Janome. It's a Japanese brand, and I really like it so far. I think it's like fine. Nothing. Yeah, but yeah, it's hard to find the time with school to like get it out, and especially if you haven't sewed before, like maybe taking a class, but like even just having that done, if you use the summer or like winter break or something, it's um it's a great way to relax too. And it's kind of like motivating, like I can make my own dress today, I don't have to buy it.
Very true. So next, what events do you plan to have in the future with the Sustainable Fashion Club?
Yes, so next Wednesday, we do bi-weekly meetings. Next Wednesday, hopefully she's on board but hasn't texted me back yet, as of yet. Judith Rizzio, who joined us for our first meeting. Our first meeting, Judith joined us and talked to us about her background in fashion. Judith has been featured on the Today Show, and she's also been featured on Vice Media. That's actually how I found her, is through YouTube. I was doing just some like club research, I guess, and I came across this lady with these funky glasses on, and the title of the video is Empowering People with Vintage Clothes, and I was like, that's perfect. And I watched 3 minutes of it, and I paused it, and I emailed her, and ever since then we've been in touch, and I feel like I could call her my mentor. She's awesome. The way her energy and the way she talks about clothes and empowering people is like what gets me excited. So she next week hopefully is going to be showing us her vintage collection. So she's going to be taking us through the decades and showing us all the crazy stuff she has. If you go and watch her Vice video, you can get kind of an idea of what she has, and it's some of the stuff she held it up. I remember she held up a dress, and I was like, what is that? And then the next scene, she's sitting at her kitchen table in this dress, and I'm like, I would have never bought that. That looks so good on her. So just proof. She calls herself a style activist. And then I'm also in talks with a company called swap.com. And they're like almost like they refer to themselves as like a thrift TJ Maxx almost. And I'm hopefully going to have an interview with them before the semester is over. And then beyond that, I definitely want to have clothing swaps. I want to have fundraisers to raise money for local nonprofits like my sister's house and Dress for Success. And I also want to just have interviews with inspiring individuals like Judith.
Nice. So next we have, what are some initiatives that your club plans on starting?
Yes, I like this question because it made me think. I just typed the answer to the last question. I was thinking it would be awesome if I just dropped my letter off to vote, or my absentee ballot to vote yesterday, and I was thinking how awesome would it be if we had one of those on campus, but for clothes. And if we just started a donation system, and I don't know, with COVID and sanitation stuff, but I think that'd be really interesting. And I feel like a lot of people would want to get rid of their clothes. Like I have a whole bag of stuff I didn't sell at my last like porch sale that I'd love to get rid of, but I don't have a car. So if I could just drop these off in a mailbox or something like that, that'd be great. And then along with that, just fundraisers to raise money to make the Charleston community more aware of the growing issue of the environmental impacts clothing has on our environment.
Beautiful. And next is, how can students get involved, and what's the best way to reach you?
Yes, students can get involved by becoming a member, or if you just want to come to a meeting to check it out, that's fine. Our email is the same as our Instagram handle. It's sustainablefashioncofc@gmail.com. So you can email us there, ask us any questions. and we can just add you if you said you're interested, or you can DM us on Instagram. We get a lot of DMs on Instagram, or you can even message us on Cougar Connect if you know how to work that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Maddie. Thank you for doing this interview with us, and thank you guys for watching.